let's try to understand both the phases of your life, part one, part two. But before we go there, I want to understand something about you when you were a child, like from the beginning. Tell me, what do I need to understand about you when you were 10 years old? You were unable to sit in a class. You saw your parents' relationship falling off. You were restless and not able to just cope up with everything which normal kids do.
Yeah.
What do I need to understand about that, Michael? Which helps me understand everything that came after.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, going back even before 10, when I was 7 years old, I was, nonstop kind of bouncing off the wall. I was always around the pool. My two older sisters swam, so I was around the pool all the time. So water safety was something that was a big priority for my mother. And once I was in the water and I was safe there, I was just kind of playing around the pool all the time. So that's when I got into the water. And then the water was kind of a release for me. Being able to kind of swim as hard as you want, to go faster with, anger, if you might have it, was something that I enjoyed. It wasn't great dealing with anger as a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid. But for me, it was an outlet. And it was something that, I ended up falling in love with. And, I remember in, middle school, I was told, by my teachers that I would never, by a teacher, that I would never amount to anything. And I still remember her name and I still remember what she looks like. I still remember where I was sitting in the class. And I think at that point for me, I used it as motivation. The fact that a teacher, number one, would say they're doubting a student and not knowing how to deal with them, I think is saddening. It's upsetting. But for me, I was like, watch this, I'm going to prove you. And I think at the time that was pretty much when I had stopped taking, Ritalin, which was for my ADHD. So my ADHD, I literally was like, I was all over the place. I was leaning back in the chair on the back legs, leaving dents on the floor in the classroom, always getting sent to the principal's office. And honestly, I just had a really hard time sitting still. And at that point, my mom was, I was playing baseball, I was playing lacrosse, I was playing soccer, and I was swimming. I was playing all these different sports just to try to get the energy out of me. My mom was just like, I don't know what to do with them. And it's crazy. Fast forward now to where I'm 40 and I have 4 kids. It's the same way. Their kids are nonstop. But I think, going back to that point, I think swimming really gave me something to focus on. I was that. Well, I still am that kind of ADD, kind of all over the place, jittery, like kind of always moving around. Like that's just who I am. That's my personality. So, I think over time I naturally took something that somebody labeled me with having or being a less than of a kid. I took that into almost really making it a superpower. Because it gave me the ability to focus on things that I was really passionate about.
But, so your teacher said she must have noticed, and the rest of the world just noticed how you were as a kid, who were restless, not able to sit anywhere. What do you think that teacher didn't get, or the world didn't get, about that kid who was not able to sit properly? Because you definitely had something in you, and I
just thought she didn't know how to, whether it's a lack of better way of saying it, like I don't think she wanted to deal with me, or knew how to deal with me, or knew how to handle me, or knew how to teach me, right? Like she just didn't know. And like for me, like my mother has been in education for 50 years. Like that's her passion. Her passion is being in the classroom to try to make an impact for a student, to try to help them take whatever they're learning in that year or that classroom and catapult it to help them into the rest of their life, to help transform them into what they want to be. And all of those steps need to happen. But when a teacher, instantly shuts down on a kid, it just doesn't look good for the teacher. But I mean, I think I got like a C in her class. So like, let's be honest. I was kind of like, just get me out of here. You know, like that was my least favorite class that I went to every single day.
Which class was it?
English. I hated English, you know, and maybe it was how she was teaching it to me, because I had teachers that were great. You know, like I had teachers throughout my elementary, middle, and high school where they were awesome, and they helped me understand when I had problems learning what everybody else was learning faster than what I was learning. Or if I was learning things faster than everybody else, then he or she gave me stuff to help me stay focused. Right. Like I think it's just, everybody has a different mind, and everybody is able to handle or control as much as they can. And she just didn't know what to do. It was sad. And I'm sure there still are teachers out there in the world that are like that. And it is unfortunate. It is sad. But to the kids out there who do have an experience like that, know that there are other outcomes that can happen in life. I mean, people doubted me in the swimming pool too. And honestly, like for me, again, it was a form of motivation. That was it. You know, like if somebody wants to doubt me, like I've been on this kick lately where I've just been firing off quotes on Instagram, just like on my story, just ripping quotes off that just like hit me in the morning. And I'm like, I'm a big quotes person. And, you know, like throughout my career, my coach would always put quotes on the top of the workout, motivating quotes, or just quotes that people need to hear, that for me, that I need to hear, you know, for whatever you're going through life. So yeah, I can.
Which one's your favorite quote now?
I mean, my favorite quote is actions speak louder than words. You know, like that's one of my all-time favorite, hands down quotes, because it's true. You know, like you can say whatever you want, but if your actions don't back up those words, then all it is just a bold-faced lie. You know, so, you know, for me, like throughout my career, like I wanted to, you know, break this world record, win this gold medal, whatever it was. And I knew that there had to be a process on how to get there, right? Like I can't just say it and snap my fingers. There had to be, you know, every single day, little baby things that were stacked on top of each other, and little baby steps that were heading towards that goal. And if I was taking steps backwards, then I'm just cheating myself.
What do you think? You said water became your escape, and you were just always in the pool, taking out your anger and everything. Like it became your coping mechanism in some sort, and you were always in the pool. Right? Mm-hmm. What do you think? What did water give you emotionally, which nothing else could?
I mean, my kids call me Aquaman now, so I guess it's kind of fitting. You know, I don't know. I think thinking back to it, and, you know, kind of being able to dive through my career a little bit inside the pool, I was super sensitive to every little part of the water in my body, right? So like when I would swim, I'm feeling the water in the palm of my hands. Like that's where I'm feeling all the pressure. So if my shoulder, my arm, or my body is not a certain way, then I'm not able to feel that. So it's all trial and error and trying to get in the right position. And naturally, I think, you know, for me, just being submerged in water, I just felt at home. I don't know, for lack of better terms, like, you know, even like now, if I go into a big depression state, or I'm just in a grouchy mood for a couple of days and workout hasn't helped, and, you know, my normal routine hasn't helped, whether it's the cold tub or the sauna, you know, I'll just get, you know, my wife will just kick me out of the house and say, go jump in the swimming pool. Because it's kind of like the only place where I don't have anybody talking to me. I don't have to think about stroke. I don't have to think about what I'm having for dinner, or what I'm making for dinner, or what I'm doing tomorrow, or this or that. I'm just there in the moment, right? Like I can just be, and I can swim for 500, which is, I mean, minimal compared to what I used to swim. Or I could swim 2,000. It doesn't matter. Like just being able to be back in the water, or being back into that environment, I think is kind of one of my reset switches, that kind of just levels me out.
Do you think you were running away from something, or no, you were swimming away from something, or swimming towards something?
I think I found swimming, as an outlet, but I think, the reason why I found swimming is my 2 older sisters swam as well. So, for me, kind of seeing what they were doing, and my middle sister, Whitney, was traveling all over the world and she was on world championship teams. I was like, wow, that seems pretty cool. Like, she was trying to go to the Olympic Games and I was like, yeah, I want to go to the Olympic Games. Like, hell yeah. Like, who doesn't want to go to the Olympic Games? And I just kind of followed and, naturally as a kid, if you learn that you get good or you start getting faster, you kind of think, how fast can I get? And that's kind of what I did, like from the start into the end of my career, I was kind of like, all right, how much faster can I get? Can I drop a second? Can I drop a half a second? Can I drop 2/10? Like, what is the maximum potential that I have inside of me, and how can I challenge myself in different ways? Swimming for me, like, again, like I would scream underwater. You can't hear me. Like, I would call my coach every single fucking name on the planet. Like, sorry for profanity, but like I literally would, like, because there were times where I was so frustrated and so angry, and there was nothing else I could do, whether it was like my body was in pain, I mentally couldn't do it, or I felt like I couldn't do it. I would just scream, and then naturally I would still get through it and it would go well and blah, 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 blah. But it's like in that moment, like for me, screaming was one of those things I would just let everything out. And it's something that, like, we've taught our kids. Again, we have 4 boys and the emotions get high. So, we taught them this thing called a lion breath, where you take a deep breath and you roar like a lion and you scream as loud as you can. And again, the younger one doesn't scream that much, but like the 3 older ones, it's a lot of noise, but it's, again, like we find once they're able to do that, their shoulders drop a little bit and they're able to have that conversation of what big feelings, emotions they're going through inside, instead of carrying them along through life.
Can you show me what is it? Like, what's a lion breath?
You don't want me to scream in here.
It's okay. You can just show like a little bit.
No, it's just a
small version of it.
Obviously you can scream as loud as you want, but it's literally just take a big deep breath in and just scream as loud as you possibly can. And naturally when you do that, your shoulders do drop a little bit, right? You are able to kind of come back to earth, right? Be your normal self. Like I always joke, there was the Snicker bars commercial. It's always, they always show them here, but it's a commercial where it's like you take a bite of a Snickers and you just feel like your normal self. Like, I feel like that's what it is. Like what Snickers is saying, like when you have a sugar low, you eat some sugar and naturally you feel better. But here it's like, if you're stressed or you're frustrated and you take that deep breath, you're able to be like, okay. So why am I going through that? What feelings and emotions am I going through? And you're able just to get it all out. Like for me, it's, there are a bunch of different things that I do. I don't do lion breaths that often, but when I'm in the pool, it's very easy to do it. But yeah, there's a checklist that I have for my own mental health. So you used to scream inside the pool a lot. Oh. We're like underwater. Right? Like when I was going and taking, like when I was doing my streamlines off the wall and I was kicking underwater, there were a lot of F-bombs that were said. Yeah, that was one of my favorite words, to scream underwater. And people could hear it. Honestly, like when you're in a set, like person next to me would be like, did you just scream? And you're like, I did. And they're like, all right, we have one more. And you're like, yep, we got one more repeat. Let's go. But it's kind of like in the moment, like I feel like I needed to do that just to get through. And everybody, I think, probably has something different, right? But that was just me. It was screaming underwater. It's same thing like when I'm in the weight room now. Like I was just traveling overseas and I was lifting in, I think it was Mumbai. And I was in the weight room and I was like grunting. I was like, and like everybody in the gym like looked at me and I was like, oh shit. And I'm looking into a mirror and everybody's face is staring right at you. But it's just kind of something that I do. I used to do it right when I get up onto the block, right after I did my arm slap, it was something that I would always do, just clear my throat. So is it, you were screaming a lot because you were obsessed with trying to win?
Or was it
a lot of different things? It was probably, I wanted to win. I wanted to push through whatever I was going through, or I was emotionally